Welcome back, Wealth Junkies. Thanks for joining us on our daily show. Before we get started here, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss any of the daily shows, and to also leave a review and rate the show so that way we can get your feedback on the show here. And also join us on our Facebook group. At the end of the show, I'll give you the link to the Facebook group. But without further ado, Will, why don't we go ahead and introduce our awesome guest today?
Thanks so much, Brandon. Really appreciate it. So today we have an amazing interview. So Kat McLead is, I don't even have her bio because I'm not going to do it justice. So I will just say that she's a badass entrepreneur, and I'm going to let her just jump right into her background and what got her to where she is today. Thanks so much, Kat, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And this is for all you listeners who are starting out at a bad place in life and feel like there is nowhere you could possibly go. Or yes, this has worked for Brandon and Will, but it's not going to work for you. And I'm going to unfold my entrepreneurial journey. I grew up in a house where I was extremely abused. I was beaten on a regular basis with a bamboo stick, told I was nothing. I feared for my life. I truly thought I would be murdered. I was screwed up in my teens and early 20s. I started stripping to get some financial independence so I could leave that house. And that was a blessing because that gave me the bravery to move to Los Angeles and know that I would be able to support myself. When I was in LA, there was lap dancing is in the clubs, and I wasn't cool with that because my father used to manhandle me. So I answered an ad to become a dominatrix. And it was really cool and fun at first because I got to turn the tides on the abuse that was given to me. And it felt really powerful. And I really actually enjoyed it. And I was making hundreds of dollars an hour. No one was touching me, and it felt good. However, after about 6 months or so, I got really burned out on it. I did not want to do most of what is involved in BDSM. So I decided to niche down very tightly to what I most enjoyed / tolerated. I thought that I would have to get a quote unquote regular job at the age of 22. And this is when I actually found out that when you niche, you get rich. So that's where that saying is, the niches are in the riches, and I'm 100% proof of that. Not only did I not need to get a quote unquote normal job, my business skyrocketed. My already high multiple $100 rate over doubled, and I was booked for the next 5 years and made multiple 6 figures a year. So the great thing is I was flushed with cash in my early 20s, was my own business owner, my own boss, and my work was pretty decently enjoyable. The main problem was I was not feeling fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was leading a life of purpose or meaning, and this was really hurting me. It was really making me feel bad about myself. So those of you just dreaming of making multiple 6 figures, I encourage you that yes, it feels great to make money. And if you're going to build a business, why not build one that feels fulfilling and good and meaningful in some way to you, and not just all about the money, even though I understand that that is extremely tantalizing. And in the long run, it leads to overwhelm and burnout when you don't have any purpose or meaning behind what you do. So I could not do it anymore. I had tried to quit numerous times, and I kept going back because I just made so much money. Luckily for me, I had regulars over this 5-year period, and I was truthful, and they could see that I was growing increasingly unhappy. I suffered from depression, eating disorders during this entire period of time. I actually wound up getting hired by one of my long-term clients, one of my 5-year clients, into his corporate business. And you'd be surprised that my entrepreneurial experience easily translated into corporate. And I grew a division of his company and made it really successful. And to this day, it is a very successful part of his business. I did not enjoy having a boss. I did not like coming in at certain hours. I did not like being micromanaged, because even though this person was wonderful and we had a different kind of relationship going in, I was still being micromanaged, and I just could not take it anymore. So around that 6-month mark, where I'm notorious for getting burned out and going, I cannot do this anymore, I decided to go to graduate school and get my degree in psychology, my master's degree. I had done a shitload of therapy through all these years to get my head on even halfway straight at this point in my life. I was 28 at the time. as my second year project, I chose to help women transition out of the sex industry. I knew how difficult it is to transition out. These women are used to making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars an hour, depending on what their profession is. And it is almost impossible to leave this behind, no matter what you want to do with your life, no matter how much you hate it, because it's too shocking to go into normal life and the amount of work it takes to make a decent salary. Those of you in your 9-to-5s who hate it, you can get what I'm saying. And I accidentally became a business coach 13 years ago because I had to come up with businesses that could provide these women good income, high profit for the time spent, that they could transition their skills in, because we all have skills, gifts, something that we can teach others that feels good, that we can start for others, and we sometimes don't recognize it in ourselves. And I was able to hone my superpower of finding the niches and the riches and being able to really find the subset of people's niche that would bring them the most money. So I became an accidental business coach. And when I was done, I did all of this for free, my second year of graduate school. When I graduated school, I got a certification, a coaching certification, pretty new back then, and opened up my practice to other different businesses. I worked with men and women at the time. And then a few years in down the line, I was getting a little burned out on that because I was much younger and didn't know how to put my boundaries as strong as I do now. And I met and married my wonderful husband. I had 10 times more money than he did when we got married. No one rescued me. However, he is an extremely high earner now, a decade later, and I fully planned on being a pampered stay-at-home mom. When my son entered school, I was really super bored and restless. Like, people who are just dreaming of, oh my gosh, early retirement. I had too much in me and I wasn't done. And I would spend hours and hours surfing the internet, just killing time, and I hated it. So I came out of retirement and started coaching some of the moms in my local circle and helped them start businesses for fulfillment and fun while staying mom first. And that leads me today, where I've scaled my business. I have a stay-at-home mom entrepreneur framework. It's really geared towards pampered stay-at-home moms for my entire coaching scope. However, my superpower of nailing your niche is available for everyone.
Wow. That is quite the story. So, wow, that's pretty awesome. So I kind of want to back that up and talk about, so when you transitioned out of being a dominatrix into what you mentioned is your niche, where you kind of honed in on the one thing that you liked about or could tolerate in that business. What exactly was that, and how were you so successful to make lots and lots of money annually?
It was foot fetish, and there are a lot of people into foot fetish. It's just a small part of BDSM, but there is a huge community of people who really love feet. So when I at the time internet marketed, didn't even know the word then, but when I internet marketed that I only did this one niche, do not contact me for anything else, this is what I do, and put pictures of my feet and put myself in like sexy shoes and things like that, I wound up easily getting clients. And like I told you, I over doubled my already high rate, and my clientele actually went up.
Wow. So just focusing on that one niche, like you said, it narrows it down and shows that, hey, this is what I am, this is what I do, nothing else. And that drew a bigger crowd for you, right?
It really did. Like, I really truly believed that my clientele would go so down because it was a small portion of my dominatrix business, I would say of under 10%. However, when I only advertised for this one niche, then all the people that did not want anything to do with BDSM became my clients. And my clientele was actually much more high end in my eyes.
Oh. And so you were doing that all through internet marketing?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. So, you mentioned that you kind of moved into helping the girls get out of the sex industry. And so basically, when you were doing that, you were helping them find jobs and businesses that pay similar amounts as to what they're used to earning in the sex industry. Is that correct?
I helped them create their own businesses. I would not say that they were making the same amount as in the sex industry. On the high end of like high class escorts, they can be making thousands of dollars an hour. No, that was not our goal. Our goal was to transition them out so that they could have so they could bring money in that could sustain their lifestyle or just make them feel better about themselves. And in some cases, we just added in something else while they continue to be in the sex industry, and then added in more so that they could slowly transition out. That is one way to do it. So it does not have to be extreme. To bring that back to your listeners, if you are in a 9-to-5 that you do not like and you intend on being an entrepreneur, you can start adding in the same exact way, that 30 minutes, that hour, to work on your own business and allow it to unfold that way with so much less pressure and less stress. That's actually how I would completely recommend it for people wanting to leave their 9-to-5.
Yeah, don't just burn the ships immediately, but kind of transition into that. Let me ask you this. This is kind of diving deep and going on a tangent, but are most people that are in the sex industry, as you mentioned, are they looking for a way out? Are they, is that kind of the everybody is ultimately trying to get out, but they just have the golden handcuffs?
I wouldn't say that because I cannot speak for an entire industry. And I can tell you when I first started and actually had the nerve to cold call some people, I got threats and hung up on when I was asking them if they were if they wanted to transition out. So I'm not going to speak for the whole sex industry. I can tell you from people that I knew, people that were in the industry along with me, friends I had in the industry, we all wanted out in my circle, and it was very challenging to get out. And my clients who have reached out to me, or when I helped them over the years, they wanted out. So those were the people I worked with. I don't want to speak for the whole industry. I mean, my guess would be the majority want out, and I'm probably going to get hate if people hear this who do like it. More power to you. This is only for people who are unfulfilled, doing work that they do not like. Same can go for corporate 9-to-5. Any work that you do not like, that you feel bad about, that does not feel good and maybe is hurting your soul, or you cannot imagine continuing on. Those people exist in any industry. But yes, there are a lot of people in the sex industry that want to transition out.
Wow. So wow. How did you handle, when you make those cold calls, how did you handle the no's and the threats, and how did you rebound from that to continue, looking forward?
It was really challenging. I have never cold called people, and luckily I found a different way and got a little bit of publicity and reached out to the organizations that help women transition out. So there's an organization in Los Angeles that helps women do that. And I got my first referral and my first client from one of those organizations.
Very cool.
Okay. So you formed a partnership with them in a sense.
Yes, I stopped making those cold calls. They were not received well.
That is, wow.
So Kat, talk to us a little bit about the business that you're running today for mothers.
I help pampered stay-at-home moms start businesses for fulfillment and meaning while staying mom first. This might be hard to relate to for your younger listeners who are like, oh, pampered. Even people who have made it and they don't need to work still want meaningful work, purposeful work, where they're sharing their skills and their talents with the world and not just having an identity of mom and wife. So it just goes back to exactly what I was just talking about. If you're going to build a business, why not make it purposeful and meaningful to you? Why not have some form of meaning attached to it that you can feel good about? Like Brandon and Will, they provide housing for people, something that brings some meaning to you and makes high profit. It can be paired together.
Amen.
So
that's really good.
When you're speaking with your clients, are you evaluating, what their wants and needs are to kind of establish how they can build a business that will bring them fulfillment? Or do you kind of have business ideas that they can choose from? How does that work?
I take their skills, their passions, their gifts. A lot of my clients come to me thinking that they have no skills for a business. One of my first moms, she learned how to make cakes from her mom. She never thought this could be a business that could bring in high profit, maybe some low profit, but not high. And together we refined her business. We found the subset of her niche in our area, which is gluten-free baking. She specializes only in children's birthday parties and baby showers. And this is very important for people with kids with gluten allergies. Her mom and sister both have a gluten allergy. She makes these amazing cakes, and we were able to parlay that into a business. Another one of my moms, she was a lawyer for the city of Los Angeles, but she had 3 kids and she didn't want to miss out on them growing up, and her work schedule was rigid. The city does not care about your family, and we found the subset of her niche that she's able to work 2 days a week, or sometimes after the kids go to bed, and she makes more than the average American income salary, and she keeps a foot in the door because she didn't actually want to give up her career. And one of my online clients, because I work offline and online is good for people whose offline niche easily translate to an online niche. So their offline expertise easily translates to an online niche. Then online actually is a decently easy transition. Otherwise, it is easier to start a real life business like you both have, because online requires so many different skills that like copywriting, SEO, just so many different skills that people don't think about. They just think, oh, you go online and you become rich. That's not accurate. However, with my online clients whose offline expertise easily translated or their old job experience, one of them does software, the back end for busy software, the software for busy coaches and creatives so that they don't drop the ball on client tasks. So this was from her old career, and she's able to translate that easily onto her new online business, and she was getting clients right off the bat. So these are just a few examples of how you can take your old expertise from baking cakes to knowing software or law and turning them into a viable business that you have full control of, that allows you to make high income for the time spent and lets you be your own boss.
Wow.
So I mean, like you said, the niche, the riches are in the niches, and that's kind of what it sounds like. You got to figure out what that one thing is that you can work on, and
yeah, and you seem like a serial entrepreneur. You've always been that way, and so I just want to know, what else are you doing outside of your main business to build wealth for you and your family?
We invest in syndicates. We have multiple businesses, and we invest in stocks and passive income things. Yes, I have been a serial entrepreneur. I also, in this mix, owned a yoga business, but I don't usually mention it.
Okay.
And that did help me transition out.
Nice. Okay. So we talked a little bit before the show. You invest in some similar stuff to what we're doing, where we're doing large syndicates and buying apartment buildings. So it sounds like you're always thinking about building wealth and being an entrepreneur. So that's awesome. I love it.
I mean, building wealth is fun. Making high
Yeah.
profit is fun. I want to go backwards to say what Brandon was saying, because I think that's valuable for your listeners. People often are very afraid of niching down. My clients all come to me terrified of niching down. I didn't go into the exact niches, but my law person, I niched her down into a subset of immigration. My software person, she's niched down into one software product because she gets known for that. That way you can be branded as the person who does this one task, and people starting on a business are terrified of that. They think, oh my gosh, nobody's gonna come to me. That's just too limited. It's not going to be able to sustain me. And I'm just here to tell you that if you go really general, especially when you're first starting out, it is so hard to attract clients because you're just going to be falling on deaf ears. Don't be afraid to niche down because people will still find you. For instance, I I market to pampered stay-at-home moms. However, the software client that I just mentioned, she's a corporate mom who wants to become a pampered stay-at-home mom. She still found me and sought out my services, even though I niche down. When somebody hears what you're saying and they feel connected to you, or it's close enough, they will still buy from you. When you are too broad, then no one even notices you. You will not be noticed.
Yeah, and that makes me think of there's a guy in the multifamily world, and his name's Adam Adams, and he's got this saying: if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And that's similar thing. You know, if you're in this broad spectrum, thinking that if I talk to everybody, I'm going to attract everybody, you're not going to attract anything. But if you narrow it down to very specifics, like you're saying, that's when you attract the specific, and that's where you start to excel. So I love that. The niches are in the riches. I love that.
Yep.
Riches are in the niches. Yeah.
Riches are in the niches.
So
it's easy to mix up.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's the whole jack of all trades, master of none. You know, we know a lot of people that are like that, and it's the people that are experts in one thing that really end up finding success. So that's great.
Since your listeners are usually beginners, that is a key thing that you just said, Will, because when you are starting out, let's just say you really want to leave your 9 to 5. So you're trying to do all the things, by all the things you're looking in 10 different directions, you're going to wind up going nowhere because your energy is so spread. I would really encourage you to pick one path, one mentor, one program, one path, and go all in on that to begin with. Because once you know how to build a successful business, the key steps are there. As Brandon and Will just mentioned, I'm a serial entrepreneur. My husband is too. When you know how to build a business, you can pivot it. You can even leave the entire industry, as I have numerous times, and it will be okay. But when you're starting out and you're trying to do 10 different things, you're trying to learn all the things and run all these different parts of a business, it's going to spread you so thin, be overwhelming, burn you out, and it's going to actually slow you down than going all in on one proven technique.
Amen. That's
absolutely, yeah. The focus. That's where it is. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Kat. So I know we mentioned this to you earlier, but now we're going to get into our segment called Moments of Truth. Okay. We ask the same 7 questions to all our guests here. They're pretty personal, not pretty personal questions, but we'll get right into it here. So who is your success role model?
Oprah. She's a mogul.
Yeah.
And after that, Elon Musk, because he's a little bit crazy, but we can't deny that he's a genius, and we drive 2 Teslas and love them.
Yep. There you go.
Nice.
And, colonizing Mars sounds kind of fun.
I was going to say, you can eventually take the shuttle up to Mars when he figures that all out. What is your biggest success?
Having a loving family. I know that this is the Wealth Junkie show, but I grew up in a really unloving family, and I did not ever expect to have this level of success. And I am in a really loving family, and we have tons of wealth in all directions.
Yeah, and I like that you brought that up, because we chose the word wealth junkies. We didn't want anything money specific or anything like that, because in our eyes, wealth is an abundance of things, whether it be money, it be family, things like that. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's important.
Let's go on that more, because I think that gets lost sometimes in your 20s, where you're just chasing trying to make it with the money. And the money is great. Don't get me wrong. I love living by the ocean. I love looking out of my French doors and seeing the ocean, the mountains behind me. Wealth is amazing. And if you sacrifice everything else to get it, when you get it, it's not going to feel satisfying. So that family life, that friendship, that connection, those are all important too. Just, it's hard to find the balance. You could probably focus on 2 things at a time, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's really good. When I was getting started in the mortgage business, it was like, okay, I just want to hit this goal. And then as soon as I hit it, it was like, all right, what now? And it was never satisfying. It was always, and they were usually, monetary goals, and it was just never satisfying when you got that. It was so no, you're exactly right. So
when you say that, it's good to bring in pleasure into your business. And this took me a long time to do, okay? Because I did a lot of businesses that I don't think are pleasurable. And a way to do that is to definitely, instead of saying next whenever you hit something, is to actually celebrate it, to take that time to celebrate it to yourself, acknowledge yourself for hitting that goal, and not being in such a rush to go next, because then you've never arrived if you're always on to next.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you gotta appreciate your accomplishments and realize that you worked hard for that. So, Kat, what's a typical day for you look like?
I wake up, make my son's lunch, exercise in my exercise room, and I will answer some emails, check my schedule. I usually do a podcast or two as a guest. I write some content. I take client calls. So I limit my client calls to every other week. So I help my clients. I check in with them to make sure everything's good. And then I pick up my son, and I'm mom first. So after I pick up my son from school, we do mom stuff like go to the park. We spend time together. We go get our snack/dessert together. And then it's complete mom life. So I have a great schedule. I've created a business that provides me a lot of income, and I have full control of my schedule, and it fits all into my mom life, and it brings me a lot of pleasure and joy. And I really did not think that this was possible in my 20s. So I'm just going to be that old timer right now telling you guys who are creating your business, it is totally possible to make high income and feel good about it while you're doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's great to hustle, especially in your 20s. You got to hustle, or in your 30s, you can hustle a little bit and take that time to bring in the feeling good, the celebrating where you are at before you're like next. Cause like that's all your life is passing by with your next.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's the goal for, everybody thinks about money, creating the happiness. Well, it kind of does, because it creates the freedom to be able to have that happiness. Like you said, spend the time with your kid and really create your own schedule.
I mean, that's true. I don't want to discount that, because my wealth, our accumulated wealth has allowed that for me, that I truly do not have to work. I never planned on working, and we have financial freedom in that form, in that way.
Yeah. But it's not an end in and of itself. So, yep, I agree.
Oh, there are plenty of people, plenty of multimillionaires, plenty of them who are unhappy.
That's right.
I believe it.
That's exactly right. Kat, what's your favorite quote? If you had to pick one.
That's a toughie. It's not a famous quote, but you cannot lose if you don't quit.
That's good.
I like that one.
So it's not a failure unless you give up and throw in the towel.
Well, let's talk about failure, because this is very important for listeners to know. When you are starting on your entrepreneurial journey, you will fail. You will most likely fail most of the time. And this is just a given. And if you accept this, that failure is not only part of the journey, it is the expected part of the journey. That will help you keep moving forward, not look at those failures as you can't do it, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't deserve it, and just look at them as, oh, this is me trying new stuff, I'm getting feedback, I can keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Love it. Yep. Kat, what are some of your hobbies?
I love exercising. I love rollerblading at the beach. I love bike riding. I'm very outdoorsy. I love eating ice cream and dessert. We love traveling. We travel all over the world. My son's been to many, many countries. We go on about a 3.5-week holiday every year and multiple littler trips in between. I love a lot of things. I love the ocean. We go to the beach a lot. I love swimming, tons of hobbies, yoga, lifting weights, mat work. I mean, yeah, good life.
That's awesome. Most people we talk to, myself included, when we ask that question, it's hard to answer, because they work a lot and they build businesses, and that is fun to them, as I'm sure it's fun to you as well. But that's really cool that you just spouted off like 20 things right there. That was great.
Well, I commend both of you for being so ambitious. And yes, work can be fun, especially when you're seeing outcomes and you're making things happen, and that is fun. And it is still really good to add in those fun things in your life that get you away from work, because that's when you can actually start being more creative. When you're outside of work, your brain has that chance to relax, and things can come to you while you're mountain biking down a mountain or whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. It all ties together. So what's the best business book that you've read?
Right now, I'm not going to say it's the best. Right now, I am reading Guy Hendricks. Oh, my brain has a hard time. It's about the upper limits as when you go higher and higher in business. So he was Michael Dell's business coach.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking of the book's name right now. I can't, The Big Leap. It's called The Big Leap. And
Okay.
it's talking about as you grow more successful, you hit something called upper limits. And it actually causes people to self-sabotage. So you work so hard for those millions. You got the millions, you got the millions, and you haven't expanded your upper limits. And that's how you've seen people like make those millions, and then they become addicts again or whatever. They let it all go. So it's as we evolve in our life and we're hitting more and more goals, like when things get uncomfortable, like my life, I'm living a dream life now. We have money. I have a loving family. It actually can make me scared. I feel so grateful for it, and it feels so different than my childhood. So I work on letting those upper limits, understanding that they're upper limits, and letting them raise up. So that's how sometimes when something's going great in one area of our life, we let it, another area of our life is burning down. So this helps you integrate all the different parts of wealth, so you're not always burning down one area. So like you're making millions in your business and then you get a divorce or you break up with your girlfriend or whatever like that. Or your relationship and your business are going great, but you've gained 100 pounds this year because you do nothing but leave your desk all day, things like that. So this is just how to create and expand your wealth in all areas. Guy Hendricks.
That's great.
Yeah. I'll have to check that book out.
Yep.
But it's not my favorite business book at all times. I read a lot of business books, so that's just really hard for me to come off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The other business book I'm reading is venture capitals, like how to use venture capital right now.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
Interesting.
All right, Kat, last question here. There's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success. What do you think it would be?
To decide on success. It is a decision. People who hope for, wish, want success, they don't reach it they just don't reach it like that. It doesn't create the fire. You decide on success, and that makes the fire within you to take the consistent action forward. Because on your way to success, there's going to be a lot of backsliding, and that decision and that consistent action is the number one key that's going to move you forward. And since some of you are in your car, some of you are at your 9 to 5. I'm going to give you a little piece that I give to my own clients. I do a 30-minute hyper-focus model. For that 30 minutes a day, you put it in your calendar. It's non-negotiable. That might be best for you right before work or right after. That's 30 minutes of your time for your business. And during that 30 minutes, you only do what's going to drive your business forward and or bring you customers or clients. If you don't know so on a roadmap from A to Z, that's like from D to E. If you don't know where you're going and you're trying to YouTube it, Google it, do all the things to find it, that's such a waste of time. Find a mentor, hire a business coach, be a self-starter and get a good DIY course and complete it. And for that 30 minutes, you do what it takes there. You're not distracted by anything else. You're not wasting time doing something that actually doesn't build business. You do what it takes to get the clients or launch the business.
That's great. Turn off the Facebook and the text messages and just grind it out.
Exactly. It's that 30-minute, no excuses, nothing else.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's great.
So, Kat, what are some of your wants and needs for your business today?
I want to scale it. I want to actually have a DIY course. It's been harder for me to formulate because so much of what I give to my clients is all in my own head. So like nailing the niche part, I calculate it all in my own head, and I have not been able to successfully formulate it for me not to be a piece of it yet. And until I can do that time and time again, I'm beta testing it now. Until I do that, I will not release a course because it just will not be beneficial. I mean, maybe it'll help people on a smaller level, and one-on-one work is always the best way, that direct mentorship and being able to download your mentor's brain. So that's what I'm working on in my business right now and scaling it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So, well, Kat, thanks so much for coming on. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
I can be found at sahmentrepreneur.com. That stands for Stay at Home Mom Entrepreneur, sahmentrepreneur.com. And on there, I have a free training. It's the 4 key steps to starting a successful, fulfilling, high profit business. It can be used for both men and women, even though it is geared towards moms. And in that, I share with you the 4 key steps that cannot be missed before you launch a business to make sure that it's successful. On there, I also have a work with me page if you are in my target demographic and feel called to work with me. And there's a link to my Facebook community, which is for moms.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes as well, so people can easily get in touch with you. That's all great stuff.
Yeah. Well, Kat, we appreciate you being on the show today. And I think one of the biggest lessons we learned is the riches are in the niches. So we appreciate you. And for our listeners, don't forget to subscribe and comment and leave reviews for our show here. And join us on our Facebook group as well at facebook.com/groups/wealth junkies. Again, Kat, thanks for joining us today. And we'll see everybody tomorrow.
I had a blast. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kat.